What if I told you that you do not have to read 1,000 personal finance books because they all share similar themes? I am Fala. I've read so many personal finance books, and I'm going to tell you 5 things that you would find in almost every personal finance book. Let's go. Number 1 is grow your income. There is a limit to how much expenses you can cut, but there's no limit to how much you can make. You can make $10 million in a year if you want to. So you need to grow your income, and that can come in multiple ways. It can come from getting a promotion, getting a new job, getting a side hustle, starting a business, getting a second job. No matter what, grow your income. When you grow your income, you have the flexibility to do more with the money that you have because there is more money. In a bucket of 10,000 coin, you can arrange them in multiple ways as opposed to when you have a bucket with just 100 coins. When you grow your income, there is no limitation to what you can do. Number 2 is budget your money. Now you will find this in different wording, different variation. Personal finance authors like to put their own sprinkle on it to make it sound fancy. But budgeting is number 2. You need to budget your income. You need to know how much is coming to your account, how much is going out, what you're spending on, what is taking majority of your money. If I go back to number 1 and we use the example of you making $1 million in a year, it is possible for you to make $1 million in a year and also spend $1 million, and you will not know. Because it is very easy to tap your card and make a purchase. If you make $10,000 and you're spending $10,000 and you can't account for it, you need a budget. You need a budget to give you directions to what you're spending on. And people get scared when they hear the word budget because they think it's restrictive. They think budgeting means that you can't spend money on this thing. That is not right. Budgeting is basically just helping you forecast where you're going to spend money based on your past spending. If you spent $500 on food in January and you spent $400 on food in February, it is only wise that you should budget $450 to $500 for food in March. You can only start to account for where your money is going when you start budgeting and tracking your expenses. That's number 2. Number 3, pay off debt, especially high interest debt. Now, a lot of books will tell you debt is not bad. It is not bad to have debt. But there's a difference between good debt and bad debt. It will tell you getting a mortgage on a house, it's good debt. Education loan, student loan, good debt. A car loan can be a good debt if it's low interest. But high interest debt have to be paid off. A lot of books agree that high interest debt is anything in the double digits. If it was left to me, I'll say anything above 7 to 8% is high interest debt. Because of the high interest on the debt, especially credit cards, where interest rate can go from anything 20% to 29, 30%, it's eating so much and you end up paying so much more for how much you've borrowed. If you have high interest debt, that should be the number 1 thing you are tackling. Getting rid of it. It is only when you eliminate high interest debt that you can start to make progress in your financial journey. Number 4 is build an emergency fund and savings. It is very important for you to have an emergency fund. Ideally, you should have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months. Some books go all the way out to say 12 months, 1 year for peace of mind. And having an emergency fund is very important because in a situation where you've paid off your high interest debt as number 3, when an emergency comes up, if you have an emergency fund, all you have to do is go into that emergency fund and spend the money. But in a situation where you don't have the emergency fund, guess what? You go back to your credit cards and you accumulate high interest debt again. So you keep going back and forth without making progress. Emergencies come every time. They are emergencies for a reason. They are unexpected. So you have to be ready for them so that you're not going into debt every time an emergency comes up. In the other situation is building up savings, sinking fund. You need to have savings for short-term goals. And this can include travel, it can include buying a new car, buying a new computer, shopping, anything. It is totally different if your computer is working well and then it shuts down on you and you have to fix it or you have to buy a new one. Then that makes it an emergency. But the moment you realize that my computer is getting old and it's gonna die on me soon, you should start saving for your computer. The moment you realize that you want to travel, you should start saving for that travel, so you're not going into your emergency fund to fund your travel, or you're not going back to using your credit card and accumulating high interest debt to fund your travel. You should not be using your emergency fund to travel. You should not be using your credit card to travel. You need to build savings, or what they call sinking funds, for these shorter, smaller goals that you want to achieve. And finally, invest for the long term. You want to start investing as soon as possible. In Canada, when you reach the age of 18 in most provinces, you can open up an investment account. You start investing for the long term, which can include investing for your retirement, maybe investing to buy a house, investing to achieve bigger goals, buy rental properties, or do anything later in life. When you start investing at a very young age, there's something called compounding. And that is when your money, the money you make on your money, starts to make money from you. And that is why you see people retire at the age of 45 years old or 50 years old, because they had longer time horizon to invest. Now, a lot of the books will tell you if you didn't start investing at the age of 18, that is not a problem. It is never too late to start investing. Well, except you're retiring in 2 years, it is never too late. Savings cannot build you wealth. Investing is what is going to build wealth for you. And they would advise that you invest in things you know. They would advise that you invest in the stock market, or you invest in real estate. Invest in low-cost index funds, or you invest in individual companies that you understand very well. So those are the 5 lessons that you will learn from almost every personal finance book. I hope I've saved you time and you really would not have to read 1,000 personal finance books. I'll still recommend that you pick up some and learn and read and learn by yourself. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'm gonna see you in my next video. Bye bye.